Right, turning our attention to rugby. Ireland's huge match with South Africa this Saturday. Who better to do that with than OTB's own resident Springbok, Stephen Kisbey-Green. Stephen, very good morning.
Morning, Jay. Morning, Johnny.
No jersey clash.
I was just going to say, I was expecting the jersey this morning.
Nah, not today. Got to be
shithousery from you.
Got to be nice and pristine for the weekend when I'm in the stands.
Fair. Speaking of the jerseys, what did you make of the jersey clash is ridiculous. I know we were talking earlier this morning. I know the away team gets to wear their choice, is it?
Yeah, the Irish two away jerseys are basically similar.
Surely we're allowed to wear the green, Stephen.
Well, no, so the way rugby works is the home team wears the alternate kit. Like, it goes into the history of the fact that oftentimes a travelling team probably wouldn't have had their away kit with them because of various reasons. So the team that has access to all of their kits at their home would be able to swap. But yeah, it makes absolutely zero sense for the only country that Ireland play that have a kit clash to be South Africa, and they make the jersey almost identical in colour to the South Africans.
It's one of those things where we're talking about it now, but anyone who sees the papers or listens or hears the reports on the jersey clash is going to be like, is going to know about it in advance, but there's going to be a whole army of people just tuning into the match on the weekend going, what's going on here? Like, both in the stadium and on TV, it's going to be balls.
I think the argument that the kit designers probably have is that South Africa never have a kit clash with the All Blacks, and they wear all black. But the problem is the All Blacks is jet black. The Springboks is that dark green with the white shorts. The Irish away kit or alternate kit is a almost off black type green with like a green stripe, and it looks so similar in hue to the dark green of the Springboks. Granted, by the looks of things, they're going to be wearing dark shorts, so you can differentiate the two by the colour of the Springboks shorts. But it's honestly the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. We saw it 5 years ago when South Africa came to Dublin. The exact same thing happened. There was outcry from more people in the stands. They couldn't see who was who. Add to that, it was dark and miserable, as it's supposed to be on Saturday. It's a perfect combination of what is wrong with the commercialization of rugby jerseys and jerseys in general. They designed a hideous kit to be sold because it's different to their home kit, and they didn't take into account any of the actual factors that go into an actual alternate kit. Mick said it last night on air, Ireland would be better off wearing their home kit. And if you actually look at the two jerseys side by side, 100%, the Irish home jersey is lighter and different entirely to the Springboks home jersey. You can legitimately wear both teams' home jerseys, and although they're both green, so the referee might have to come up with a different, like we would say green or gold, for example, roll away. Aside from that, the referee having a bit of a struggle remembering which side he's declared as green, it makes no sense for them not to wear the home jerseys.
It's bizarre.
Isn't it bizarre?
It's not like this two-ball game or whatever. You see the women's team wearing the orange in Scotland, and how iconic that jersey's gotten, and that's lovely to see that we have our memories of like the orange in Macedonia, not so much, but I just thought this was like, how could this happen? Like,
well, the scary thing is the Springboks are so big that them running at you is scary enough, but if you don't see them coming because of the jerseys, well, that just adds to it.
I mean, that might be a sly tactic on the Irish part. So maybe the Springboks will get confused. They don't know they don't know which is their teammate, so they'll just pass randomly, and then hopefully they'll get an interception. maybe that's how they're doing it. But it's.
So what about socks and shorts and all that? How is that going to clash?
As far as I know, I haven't seen we've only seen from the knees up of the away kit, or the alternate kit. Sorry, as I say. So it's black shorts, a off green black top, and I think probably a black sock. That would make sense with the rest of it. It could be this traditional home green sock, which again would make zero sense. But of course, who cares about what actually looks good as long as you sell jerseys?
This is it.
Yeah, and obviously the Springboks will be wearing their green and gold with the white shorts, and then the green and gold socks. Unless they pull a late change and actually wear white, which I think is their current away kit. Unless it's that god-awful red-orangey thing that they wore 4 years ago. I actually can't remember the last time I've seen the Springboks playing an alternate jersey. The only time it was that god-awful orangey thing in Mbombela Stadium.
Stephen, the Springboks named their 23 yesterday. This back three, talk to us about this South African back three, because it's terrifying on paper. Like where do you want to start it? It's Cheston Kolbe starting at fullback for the first time. It's quite interesting as well. So a few different strands to this team that stood out.
Yeah, I would argue this is probably the most terrifyingly deadly looking back three that an international team can put out. I'm not saying that they're the best, because that's too arrogant, but like just in terms of the fear factor that they've got on their speed, their agility, their counter-attacking ability, their ability under the high ball, it is dynamic. And just to say the words dynamic of a Springbok back three is kind of like oxymoronic, but Kurt-Lee Arendse is one of the hottest steppers in the world. This has been widely known since 2018 or 2019 when he broke Owen Farrell's ankles. But now you've got Kolbe 2.0 and Kurt-Lee Arendse on the wing. Literally, his career path has followed identically to Kolbe. He's just 3 years behind. So maybe in the next 2 years he'll be going over to France. But so you got those two brilliant hot steppers, and the pace that they've got and the ability they've got to get around the outside, and then you've got Makazole Mapimpi, who's one of the most prolific finishers at the moment. He's got speed to burn, and there's basically it's a matter of how much ball time, how much time with ball in hand they get. Now there is a bit of a weakness in a way in the fact that Kolbe and Arendse are both on the short side. So against a box kick, for example, or a deeper kick that's a contestable in the air, you might favour the taller man, theoretically Gary Ringrose, or Mac Hansen is not too much taller than the two of them, but he probably jumps a little bit higher than maybe Arendse. I don't know about Kolbe, but he can probably get above Arendse. So if the Irish look to exploit the kicking game that way, there could be a bit of a weakness there. But what I do like is the fact that Kolbe has never started a test match at 15, but he's been playing 15 in France and playing a bit of 10. He's basically been moved all over the back line except for the centres. And what he brings to the South African, granted it's an untested system, but what he brings to the South African system is a second receiver role that we haven't had for a while, and that's one that he's very similar to Damien Willemse in the way that he can attack the line, he can exploit that space, and he can hit the shoulder, but he's also got that bit of a sort of sleight of hand, an out the back sort of pass. You don't know what he's going to do when he's got ball in hand, and for a second receiver to have that in South Africa without any kicking game. Now, I don't think Kolbe has too much of a kicking game. He can probably chip and chase, and he can probably put a grubber in, but I wouldn't trust him to put a cross kick over to Mapimpi or put an up and under up. So having the only other fly-off option being Kolbe for this weekend, unless he really wanted to put Willie Leroux in there, not being a dynamic attacking kicker of the ball is interesting, and sort of shows that whilst South Africa are saying that they're going to be playing their traditional Bok rugby, it probably won't be as everyone over here says, boring as you might actually imagine. Like
Kurt-Lee Arendse, who you mentioned, the pace of him in particular when you watch the Bulls is standout. And is that the thinking then? So Kolbe, as you said, like his previous 20 caps were on the wing, so to get him into fullback for the first time, is that just to make way for someone like Kurt-Lee Arendse in the team as well? Potentially, could more. I think it's more the fact of trying to make way for Kolbe at the moment. Right. Yeah. You can't I mean, unless Arendse gets banned again for a very stupid tackle that he made, then it was a rightful ban. You can't really shoehorn him out of the squad in the form that he's in at the moment. And Willie Leroux adds a bit more versatility. And I know I've just ranted and raved about Kolbe's versatility, but it's a different type of versatility to what Leroux has. Leroux has a little bit more experience. He's a little bit more level-headed in a way. Yeah. So putting him on the bench basically allows the South Africans to go full-on counter-attack and full-on structured play in the first half, with Leroux being able to exploit a bit of tired bodies in the second half wherever he comes on. And because he's
got the most experience lining up as the second receiver for South Africa behind Pollard. He's got that ability to play the more structured and more South African style of play in the second half when you might need him to do that. So probably it's partially because you want Kurt-Lee Arendse in the starting 15, but then you've also got the ability of Kolbe to sort of, he'll have more time on the ball at fullback, I think. He'll be brought into the attack line a lot more often because Jesse Creel, for all his good attributes, oftentimes he won't get the ball out to the wings and he'll close the space by running laterally. And you don't want to do that when you've got Kolbe outside you. You'd rather let Kolbe be the second receiver and then he offloads to Creel in space.
What about this massive pack, South African pack, and the bomb squad? I mean, huge, and that's an area that the Irish team will have targeted in training, no doubt, and tried to work out ways of manipulating and getting one over, but that's not easily done.
How much can you do, yeah?
I mean, what do you do?
I mean, the easiest way to do it, and Rory O'Connor was talking about it last night, is try and move them around. But the problem is, South Africa are so dominant at the breakdown. If they don't get over the ball, they slow you down. So Ireland will try as much as they can to run South Africa ragged, but it's the problem is trying to get that quick ball. Like going up against Eben Etzebeth, Lua Diacha, and Pieter-Steph du Toit, and then you've got Franco Mostert on the bench. It's just that second row is massive and physical and dominant. I don't see how Ireland have the physicality to match them. But now the problem is you can't, like no team in World Rugby realistically has the physicality to match the Springboks. Maybe France on their day if they're fully fit, but the French 23 have never been fully fit in the past 3 years. So like there's always been chopping and changing. You've never had the best team on the park. With the best team on the park, maybe France can match them. England just below par. But the Irish, what they need to do, what I would say they would need to do is try and get du Toit, Etzebeth and Diacha in particular out of the breakdown as much as possible by forcing no breakdown. So basically recycling the ball so quickly with pop passes, offloads, and basically do not create a ruck situation. And then on the opposite side of the ball, when you've got the likes of Diacha, Etzebeth, Visa carrying into you, it's gang tackles, it's allowing Tadhg if he's able to play, don't know if he's fit enough at the moment, but if he's able to play, allowing Tadhg to get over the ball and turn over the possession. Effectively, you want to starve the Springboks of possession in that first 40 minutes, because if they do have the ball, they will pummel the Irish into submission, and then in the second half, they'll just take over.
We all remember the famous/infamous quotes from Jake White before the 2004 November Internationals, where he said he wouldn't pick one Irish player in the South African team, and Ireland went and beat them then 3 days later. It's all been a bit more friendly on this occasion, Stephen, and certainly in the press conferences. Nina Burr has been full of praise for Johnny Sexton and saying, you know, at 37 he's this and that, and he's one of the best players, and he's like a quarterback and all this. How do the South Africans really feel about Ireland at the minute?
I said on Friday it's a healthy respect, and it's legitimately that. South Africa view this as the match of the series. It's South Africa have arguably well, maybe not arguably, factually, the most difficult November series of the Southern Hemisphere teams, playing world number 1, world number 2, get a quote-unquote rest week where they can be a little bit more experimental against Italy, and then they're playing England in a out-of-test window match. So basically quite a few of these French and English-based South Africans are not able to play. So basically South Africa are coming in hoping they can get 3 wins out of 4, but if they get 2, it's actually probably a successful window. They want to win on Saturday, but I don't think they think it's a guaranteed win. I mean, look what happened when they came here 5 years ago. It was abysmal.
We remember, yeah.
I mean, granted, this South African side and that South African side are like chalk and cheese. But no, it's legitimately, I think South Africa view this as the biggest match of their series. They think that personally, I think that if South Africa win well, it's not so much winning, but it's winning well, and it's the manner of the win. that South Africa need to get right, they'll be very confident moving into the World Cup next year. I'm not saying that they're going to win it off the back of whatever happens this November. I'm not saying they'll be favourites off the back of whatever happens this November. But in the camp, if they can do to Ireland what Ireland did to South Africa 5 years ago, they'll be floating on cloud 9, and it all really depends on what happens then in France a week later to see how they see whether or not they view this tour as a success.
Yeah, be interesting to see who shows the cards as well ahead of the World Cup next year in terms of shadowboxing or not, or going all out. Stephen, finally, predictions. Be honest, come on. You can hurt us if you want here.
Nobody throw beers at me in the stand that you spot me. It's I think South Africa probably going to win it by about 6 points, I'd say. I'm not going to give a score, but I'll give a margin. I think it's probably 6 points. I don't think Willemse will have the accuracy off the tee, but I think they might be able to get the win on tries.
Fair play, Stephen. Thanks, many as always. We have one of the comments in from Danger Dave. Hate rugby, but love listening to this South African. So that's a nice compliment. Stephen Kisbey-Green, thank you as always.